Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and this week I came up with a new recipe. It's new to me anyway. Somebody else might have thought of it before, but I'm calling it do-it-yourself modeling paste. And I'm using it to make the fur on my ram. Now, if you saw my last video on the alpaca, you saw that I thought I was going to be using our do-it-yourself gesso recipe. That's just drywall joint compound and glue. And we've used it for a lot of different things because it's really a nice way to get your paper mache surface ready to paint. When I was playing around with it during the last video, I just brushed it on with a really stiff brush onto a piece of cardboard, and it looked like it was going to make fur pretty nice. But when I went back and looked at it more closely, it looked like after it had been sitting there just for a little while, it had kind of self-leveled. So it didn't have the nice crisp lines that I was really hoping to have on the ram. So I started pulling every single thing off my shelf, it seems like, and playing around and trying to find a different combination that would work a little better. I tried different brands of drywall joint compound and different brands of glue, and I just kind of mixed everything together. And the only ones that really didn't work was the Worth brand with the Gorilla wood glue. It works just fine with paper mache clay, but if you don't put almost equal amounts of glue and the drywall joint compound of that particular brand, it gets all kind of weird and stiff and strange. If you keep adding glue, it's fine, but then of course you can't make any fur marks with it because it's too runny. So that didn't work. But the other brands made do-it-yourself gesso, it just didn't make any difference what kind of glue you used. It always slumped and self-leveled. So I tried something different, and this is just a really simple idea. I'm using, in this case, DAP, drywall joint compound. I'm pretty sure any brand would work. And a little bit of acrylic paint. And I'm just happening to use white. I don't think it matters what color you use. It's not going to, this is really white, and so it's not going to really change the color very much because you only use just a small amount of the acrylic paint. And the reason that I added this to it, I know that you can use just the drywall joint compound to smooth paper mache. We do that all the time too, and it's really nice. You can put it over your paper mache if it's not quite as smooth as you want it, and put a really thin coating on there. And then you can smooth it off really nicely with a lightly damp rag. Works great. But sometimes if you put it on too thickly, it will crack. And so I'm hoping that adding the acrylic paint to it will make it more flexible, and I'm hoping that it will make it dry a little bit harder, because drywall joint compound by itself, even when it's completely dry, you can just scratch it with your fingernails. It doesn't ever dry really super hard. It has to be covered with paint in order to protect it. I'm going to cover my ram with paint, obviously, but I wanted the underneath surface to be harder. I put some on this cardboard and let it dry, and I'm bending it. It's not cracking, and it's definitely harder than just the drywall joint compound by itself. I'm not able to scratch it, so I think we got a winner. So let me go ahead and show you how I mix this up and put it on the ram. Could have used a spoon, would have been easier. And I'm going to add just a little bit of white paint. I have already tried using the white gesso, and it worked really well, but it's kind of expensive. So is this, really. The one that doesn't work well is this one. I've had this around for a long time, you can see. And it's just the craft paint, and it's too fluid. So we don't really want to make this a whole lot wetter. Any kind of acrylic in it at all. It's just hopefully to make it dry harder. Now, I should say that real modeling paste, it also works just fine, but this is expensive too. So I'm just testing this right now, and it's working really well. I've tested it before putting it on really heavy, and that was kind of cool. See what you can do. But if you want it really furry, then I definitely recommend using the paper mache clay like I did on the grizzly bear. Because then you can actually use the stamp and get it exactly the way you want it. But this, look, that's pretty nice. Let's try it back here first. I like it. Now, I did put these kind of weird little things right here around the horns because when I was looking at the photographs, the fur, because the fur goes up that way and it kind of covers up the base of the horns. And so I wanted something right there that I could actually put some fur on. I'm really liking the way it looks. I'm not going to put any on the horn because I put a lot of detail on those already with paper towels and cooked flour and water paste. So I want all that detail that's already on there to show. I don't want to cover it up with a real thick do-it-yourself modeling paste. I'll just use the gesso over that part. I'm starting at the top and working down because that way the ends of the fur of the, the hairs is going to be up here, and that's the direction of the fur on the face. If you started at the bottom and worked up, then the ends would all be covered up. And this is kind of fun, something I just found out. If you're not real happy with the way the brush is working, if it's not giving you a strong enough texture, you can go back over it with something sharp. Now this is the kind of detail that I couldn't get with the drywall joint compound and glue version of homemade gesso because it would self-level and I just couldn't keep that kind of detail in it. I put the fur marks just on his face and I'll finish this up. It had to dry off a little bit on the head before I could put the gesso on the back. But it looks really nice. I'm very happy with it. Then I get to paint him and you'll see how he looks in the next video. Be sure to watch for that. And in the meantime, come visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. I'll see you there.